Hey guys, welcome back to Ironside Ranch. We are going to talk today about the energy crisis going on in Turkey right now and how this is probably coming to us here soon. So in Turkey right now, if you're not aware of Turkey, the Turkey government and the industries that control their energy. I don't know how their energy works. You know, ours here is kind of a smorgasbord of commercial plus a ton of government regulation. So it's kind of this conglomerate industry that nobody seems to understand. But I assume theirs is probably something similar, maybe a little bit heavier on the regulatory side, maybe heavier on the commercial side. Who knows? I've never lived there, but anyways, that's kind of the bottom line, is that utilities tend to always fall in that kind of funny bracket, right? Even in monopoly, they're different. So the powers at be that control the pricing on that have increased the pricing for commercial entities 125%. And for household industries, about, I think it was 55%. So according to the Daily Wire, I will try to post the article down below. But let's talk about this for here for just a second. Now, obviously there's a spectrum, right? So you have electrical and natural gas being the two big ones, electricity and natural gas being the two big ones. And so there were some varying numbers in there. You can go to the article and you can see all the data for it. But the bottom line is it's about 125% for commercial and about 50 or 55% for residential. How does that going to affect you? Well, now let's just look at this. If you're in America and you pay $200 a month in your electricity bill, which if you live in the South, that's not unreasonable. We have to run our ACs in the summer, and obviously we're spoiled there. So you're now going from a $200 to a $300 electric bill. You can probably swallow that and not have it be crazy to you, but it's certainly going to feel it, and we're certainly not comfortable doing that. And we may be running our temperatures a little bit higher to try to get that bill down. So that's going to affect in the same capacity over in Turkey. Even though they are not using the air conditioning the way that we are, they still have their household power bills that they're dealing with, and running things like refrigerators and freezers and whatever. And all those things, people are going to have to start looking at it and say, okay, maybe we can get this down a little bit. Maybe we can be better about turning off our lights and stuff. And that's going to affect them on their household level. Now, the bigger issue is this commercial entity increase of 125%. Now, let me give you a for instance here. When I was managing an auto factory, and I managed one when I got out of the military, and I was getting my businesses set up. I went and managed an auto factory for about a year and a half, and I was working nights there and then building my businesses during the daytime. And I remember when I found out what their power bill was per month, this one factory's power bill per month was on average about $12,000 a month. Now, obviously some months were $7,000, some months were $15,000, so about $12,000 a month was the average for them. So that's that. Now we can't fathom that. Those are massive power systems coming in there, and just a lot of voltage, three-phase power and everything. And so if you're not real familiar with electrical work, it's hard to fathom that. But this power, those power consumptions for what they're producing there to run those lines and those machines is huge. Now, is that corporation going to swallow that cost? They will initially. But over time, they have no option but to pass it down to the consumer, because everybody thinks that it's corporate greed, and it's not. It's simply they have to be willing to make money, or they're just not going to do it. Why would they do something that doesn't make them money? They're not building windshields or door handles or whatever out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it because it's cost beneficial to them. So they're going to have to pass that on to the consumer at some point in time. They might be able to float it a while, but at some point in time, they will all have to pass that cost on to the consumer. So if we go, let's say we're raising 125%, it means we went from a $12,000 average to, make simple math easy, but what is that, about a $26,000, $27,000 average now, to actually that they have to eat initially, and then they have to pass that on to the consumer, but they also have to recuperate what they ate initially, so everything comes back around. And so we have now the consumer ends up paying for this at the end. Now we have consumers that are saying, well, maybe I don't need XYZ widget because it's so expensive, I'm going to drop that off, which means the next consumer that's willing to buy it has to offset the cost of the first consumer that decided not to buy it, the price increase over time, or the price increase from the electricity bill, and the inflation. The consumer eats it all, right? So now the obvious thing is people are going to say, well, why doesn't they, if the commercial entities and that they had a heart, they would deal with this? Well, first off, commercial entities are not a person. They don't have a heart. They have a governing board, and however that governing board is the heart of that organization. If they have a good one, it'll be great. If they don't, it won't. That's just the reality of it. I don't know Walmart, Amazon's, who all their boards are, their board of directors, but that is the heart and the soul of that organization. If they have a good board, they will have a good heart and soul. If they don't, they won't. And the reality of it is that we have a home inspection business here in Birmingham. It's called Timberline Inspections. We have run this for about 5 years now. We've done very well. It started from my kitchen table. Now, Madeline and I have grown this into a full-size company here in Birmingham, and we've done very well with it. Do we have the cheapest prices? Absolutely not. You should definitely not be undercutting your services if you're wanting to start a business. You can lower your prices a little bit initially when you're first starting out, but what happens is, and it's without fail, every year new inspectors come in here because it's getting harder for them to do it because they've increased the licensing requirements. But new inspectors come onto the market, they'll charge $200 or $250 for a home inspection and think that they're going to take all the business from everybody because they're going to undercut all the competitors. And it doesn't happen, and the reason it doesn't happen is because our prices are not just something we picked on a whim. Our prices are something that are very, very calculated, and we spend a lot of time figuring this out, and we constantly go back and readjust them. And we match our prices to the quality of the product that we're performing. And so if we're trying to build a Toyota brand, then I have to charge Toyota prices, and I build that over time. If I want to do a Lexus, I got to charge Lexus prices. If I want to do Saturn, I charge Saturn prices. So we build this brand over time. When people come in there trying to undercut it, unless that corporation has gotten so fat on the hog because they're the only one in the industry, they are already going to have all their fat trimmed down and be running fairly lean and efficiently. Now, Amazon, for example, let's look at Amazon. Amazon probably has a lot of fat on their organization as a whole, a lot of jobs that are not necessarily needed, that can be trimmed down, a lot of maybe fraud, waste, and abuse in their budget that they could find. And so there's things like that on corporations that are that large that they can find. Now, if we have another company that's going to come in here and significantly challenge Amazon, it will force Amazon to actually do that. Now, there are other companies that do that, right? So if you want to go onto Amazon and buy, say, gun parts, for example, well, you have Midway to compete with. Midway and Amazon Midway helps Amazon control the prices on that. And then if either one of those fail, because it's so easy, you can go to Big Tex Outdoors, you can go to all these other smaller mom and pop shops that will ship you high quality components and at a reasonable price. You have other options. So when there's no other options on the market, like there is with utilities, that's why we have regulatory systems that come into play and say, listen, there's no other option. I have Alabama Power. That is my only, well, I say here we're on Central Alabama Electric, but I have Alabama Power. That's my only option as a general rule in this area. And I can't just go shop for a competitor. So Alabama Power completely controls that price. That's why the government gets into regulations on those industries, because from a modern standpoint, we have to have power, and those regulations are there for a reason in order to control that. Then other industries don't necessarily have that unless you're dealing with something like healthcare or something along those lines where they're a little bit more regulated. But my prices are designed to be competitive with the people that are my competitors. That means people that are putting out a similar quality product that I'm putting out. I'm trying to be competitive with their prices. We keep each other sharp. I have competitors in Birmingham that we call and we discuss pricing options. What are you guys charging for this? Are you guys doing this? And sometimes I'll say, you know what, that's a good idea. I should cut my price down a little bit. And other times I'll say, he's undervaluing his services and I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to keep charging what I'm charging, even though I know it's more than him, and I don't feel like he's valuing his service or his time correctly. So for X, Y, and Z reasons. That's where and that's why the businesses, they won't eat that cost. They can't eat that cost. Businesses in general are running too lean already. Their businesses are very efficient machines. When they get fat on the hog because they're the only ones there and they have no natural competition, that's the only time that businesses tend to run a little fat. They will lean out over time, and so that's why these businesses will have to pass this all on to the consumer. So don't be tricked into this idea that capitalism is this horrible thing and that you can't that you can't build industries and empires and stuff in this system, or that, I mean, if you're not doing it, it's because you're not willing to do it. It's got nothing to do with the competitors or the system being stacked against you. It's because you're not getting out there and doing it. I don't want to be crawling under houses for the next 20 years of my life, but I built a business that does it because we do it very well, and we can provide a service that's needed. I can make a living doing it, and eventually I'm going to move on to other business avenues. You can do the same. And so look at this, take this for example. This is something that is completely out of your control. As a general population, it is out of your control. You cannot control the prices of the utilities. You cannot control the inflation. All you can do is plan for it. And one of the ways that you can plan for that is by diversifying your assets. How do you do that? One of the best ways to do that is to start businesses. Start or build or buy into businesses. If you don't want to manage the business, you can buy in as a business as a silent partner. I was offered about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, the ability to buy into one of the local microbreweries here, and we just didn't do it because we put our money in other things, and it's not really a product I wanted to be involved with, but that's a different discussion. If I was a little bit more hands-on, I'd be all about a microbrewery, but I don't want to be a silent partner there. So you have these options to buy into businesses. This is how you can control these prices and how you can take advantage of this system, whether it's a capitalist system or a more government-controlled capitalist system or a crony system or whatever, socialist system, whatever you're in. You can still generally have the ability to buy in some way, shape, or form to the system that you're in, and to actually use that kind of entrepreneur mindset and get in there and make something happen with it. So, guys, I didn't want to go on too long. I wanted you guys to know about this pricing stuff that's going on in Turkey right now. This is coming to the U.S. in some capacity. Whether we'll have the same increases that they have or not, who's to say? Their inflation is substantially more than ours, but not substantially more than what ours actually is. Remember, our inflation was not 6.2, 6.7%, whatever the Fed put out. Our inflation was closer to about 14% last year. Now, Turkey's, I believe, I want to say it was 50%, but don't quote me on that. But I want to say that I read that it was 50%. So we're not close to them, but we're gaining on them, and we're making headway towards them. And 2022 is going to be worse on inflation. I absolutely see that coming, that we're going to have worse inflation than what we had in 2021. So that being said, guys, you can plan on these increases to come in your utility bills and in your energy bills. So you need to get out there and find a way around it, whether that's building businesses, buying assets, or buying gold, silver, crypto, things that will go up in value over time that allow you to hedge against this. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure and like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Follow us on Facebook. Manlynn's got the Instagram account. She can post them there all the time. So we've got lots of different social medias. We're fixing to launch Telegram here, and a couple thousand more subscribers. We will be launching our Patreon or Patreon. Somebody has better ideas on that, but so we got to look around. But Patreon-ish account. We'll be having other services on those where we can talk about some things, right? Like right here, we can talk about some things that are not YouTube friendly. So, guys, really appreciate it. Thanks.